Welcome to my 2025 financial recap. I think it's a little crooked. I tried to track every single one of my expenses in 2025. One, because I'm on a journey to pay off my student loan debt as fast as possible. And two, because I really just want to become more financially literate about the money that I spend and where it's going. Going to tell you guys everything that I spent in 2025. I always love watching YouTube videos like this. Like, I realize that I just sit down and I scroll through other creators talk about how much money they spent, or how much they budget, or like how much they've managed to pay off on their loans or something like that. So I thought it would be interesting to do my own version of it. Hopefully this isn't lame or boring, but that's all I can do. So, oh my God, I forgot I have a microphone. Let's see if I can go use that. Well, no, I don't wanna, I just don't want you guys to be hearing the heat. Whatever, I'll film another one later on with that. Okay, context. I'm 28 years old. I live in Washington, D.C. I try my very best not to spend too much money. However, I do have an addiction to going out to eat with my friends, so that's gonna be evident by these numbers. With my fixed expenses, I spent $25,500 on rent in 2025, which now thinking about it altogether is a lot of money, but I have to live somewhere and that's kind of life. That's my half of the rent, which is kind of nasty when you think about the full price of our apartment, but that's how much I pay in rent. Okay, next year for car insurance, I paid $994.41 on car insurance, which I actually have no context of whether or not that's good. I have Geico. Like, if you guys have any thoughts and opinions, I'm open to it. Like, I don't I don't really have anything to say about that. For fitness memberships, I spent $1,536 on fitness. This year I picked up Solid Core, and I went from like just going to a few classes here and there through ClassPass, then to like doing the 4 times a month, and now I do the 8 times a month. I really like it, and so I justify it as an expense because like when it comes to moving your body, I try to say like, you'd probably spend that money on something dumb anyway. Whatever, I don't know if it actually works or if I should let myself off with that, but that's how much I spent on fitness, and that also includes my Planet Fitness membership. I have the Black Card Pass because I am always home in New Jersey a lot, and so it's easier for me to like go back and forth, use the New Jersey membership, use the DC one. When it comes to health, I try not to beat myself up about it. Okay, so moving on to some of my other expenses. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but I'm gonna go through ones that I think are interesting. For groceries, I spent $2,604.69. Again, I have no context if that's good or not. I try, for the most part, I try not to order food out. I only order food if I'm with friends. So that's like for someone who's like pretty conscious about eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner at home unless it's a social activity. And now for the big hitter, dining out. I spent $5,864.32 on dining out, which is really high. Like, I actually don't have anything to say. I'm kind of ashamed about it, but everybody has a sports category, and I think I'd be a little depressed if I just like didn't have that at all. And that's my form of socializing with people. That does include alcohol. And that's just, maybe in 2026, it'll be better. I don't know what to say about that. For fuel and car related expenses, I do have a car in DC. That's $1,328.92. And that includes any speeding tickets. For those of you that don't know, in DC, they actually have speed traps. So any speeding ticket that I got, that's in there. But I've gotten a lot better with that. Any car maintenance I might have needed, any gas that I've needed. My primary way of going to New Jersey is to drive. And so that includes all the gas that I did to drive back and forth from DC to New Jersey, which is a lot. Like, I actually go pretty frequently. So that is there. For shopping, I spent $1,180.35. I'm not a super big shopaholic. Like, I mostly wear black, and aside from like work clothes that I bought in the beginning of the year for my new job, I haven't really spent a ton on shopping or clothes. I guess it's a good thing. It offsets the fact that I spent over $5,000 on dining out. When it comes to beauty, I spent $652.94. This is like any like replenishing any of my makeup products, makeup wipes, all those things. It does include like getting my hair done and getting braided and stuff, which for those of you that get your hair braided know that that is honestly a steal. Like, shout out to my hairdresser. Okay, next we have $954.02 on entertainment/fun. This is like if I bought any tickets to go do things, if we went bowling, if we went to the movies, anything like in that vein, which I do think over a year is pretty good. Like I said, my form of hanging out with my friends is really dining out. So that's why this bucket isn't super, super big, but it is almost $1,000. So we'll see how that shakes out in 2026. Next, we have transportation for $1,105.64. This includes all of my Ubers throughout the city. I try not to Uber. I try to take my car or walk, but if that's not feasible and I have to Uber, let's say it's a night out drinking and I have to Uber, then that's what's in the transportation cost. Also included in here is if I do decide to drive my car, there typically is parking that I have to pay for. So I have to account for that. What's next? Okay, next we have gifts. Gifts was a huge bucket, and I think it comes in as such a heavy hitter, which is why for 2026, I'm really gonna focus on using sinking funds for gifts and other categories, which I will discuss in another video. Happy to talk about it if you guys are interested in my sinking funds mindset. I spent $3,065.24 on gifts in 2025, which is a lot of money. I went to a lot of weddings, which I think is a big portion of the gifts bucket. I also try, whenever I go out for a birthday dinner and we split the cost of the birthday person, I try to put my part of what I ate in the dining out bucket and then the part that I use to cover the birthday person in the gifts bucket. Yeah, I don't even know why it's so high. I'm actually truly shocked that it's so high, and I'm so fascinated to see what it looks like in 2026 because we already have a ton of weddings lined up. But yeah, $3,000+ on just gifts, which is a huge chunk. Next, we have self-care. In the beginning of the year, before I got engaged, I was getting my nails done all the time because I wasn't sure when it was gonna happen. So I spent $492.88 on self-care. I have since really cut back on that in the second half of the year after I got engaged in May because I was like, honestly, this is not something that's worth it to me to keep having my nails done. And so that is not as bad as it would have been if I didn't get engaged and stop tracking that. And stop getting my nails done. My other guilty pleasure, along with dining out and going out with my friends, is travel. I'm always good for a trip. Somebody just has to ask me to go somewhere and I will pretty much always say yes. I'm like thinking back to 2025, I went on like 2 ski trips out west and I went to Bali with my family. My fiance and I went to Portugal and Paris. And there are like a bunch of little weekend trips in between. So I'm always good for a trip. And I spent $5,503.24 on travel last year. I do think this year will be a little bit better. I have faith and hope. This bucket includes everything. Like the second I get in an Uber to go to the airport on a trip, I always put it in travel. I don't put it in my other bucket so I don't get confused. So this includes everything that's involved in that, including all the food when we get to the destination and everything like that. Yeah, I don't know. I like want to pretend like it probably will go down in 2026 because we are really tightening up the budget to pay off student loans and also save for a wedding. But somebody just has to call me and tell me they want to go on a trip and I'm going to be there. So we'll see how that goes. I spent $299.70 on household goods. This includes like any household decorations, things for the apartment. This, guys, is huge. The whole reason why I started tracking in the first place was because I realized when I had first moved into this apartment in 2024, in 1 month, I spent over $800 at home goods. And I was so disgusted by myself that I realized I had to tighten up. And that's why I started budgeting. And so the fact that over the entire year of 2025, after that 2024 madness, I only spent $299.70. I am so incredibly proud of myself. Okay, yeah, I'm so proud of myself because I just think that was getting so out of control. My favorite thing to do is to go to Home Goods and shop. Even today I woke up and I told my fiance, like, I really want to go to Home Goods. And then I had to be like, you don't have to go because there's nothing you need. So I really tightened up in that. So those are all of my big budgets for 2025. I am really trying to keep this momentum for 2026. This has really helped me pay off a lot of my debt. It made me realize how much discretionary spending I was doing and how much money I could save and put away towards my loans. And by the end of 2025, I had paid off $80,000 in student debt. And I completely attribute that to this budget tracker and knowing exactly how much I can spend, when I can spend it, and how much leftover I had to put towards my loans. So all of my friends have heard this from me. This is why I've actually started posting on YouTube in the first place. I think financial literacy is so important. And if you are at all interested in tracking your finances and figuring out what makes sense for you, I highly recommend that you check in the bio for my budget tracker. I literally cannot explain again how much it's changed my life. Anyone can track their expenses. Doing individual expense tracking instead of like using an app, or like some people rely on their Chase app that tells them how much they swipe their credit card, or some people use like digital apps like Monarch to show you how much they've been spending. I truly think the best way when you're starting out to figure out how much you're spending, if you want to get control of your spending, is to track every expense individually. I cannot recommend that enough. If you are interested at all, I have my budget tracker below for 2026. It just launched. And I actually think that if you stick to it, just stick to it for literally, just try 1 month. After 1 month, try 3 months. And after 3 months, try the whole year. And I'm telling you, you will see a huge difference in your life. But yeah, that's all for me. I'm looking forward to posting more videos in the future. And as the YouTube people say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe. Bye.